Hey, happy Monday night, everybody. Last day of February. So we're really getting through this semester pretty quickly. Things are going to get more serious as we go with midterms. I just need to see what you've collected so far. What are your best images? And for that assignment, which is due this coming Sunday, I am going to want to see 3 images for each category, even if you need to reshoot and add more. So I want you to make sure you're paying attention to the critiques so that you can get the video critiques so that you can get the best images for your portfolio, because it's going to be something that is not going to be set in stone until the very end. Okay, so that said, also, I want you to keep in mind, because course evaluations are coming up, and that's so super important to me. Oh my gosh, this is like my evaluation. So what I want you to do for that is keep in mind that our midterm and final portfolios are in lieu of an actual exam, like a physical test. So I just find that it's so much more rewarding to have a collection of photographs that you feel are your best work rather than take a test. So I want you to come out of this with a portfolio, with a website. And so that is our big deal here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of move myself out of the way and we're going to talk about it. Astrid's work, and the thing about it is I would hope that you are like doing research. Even though I give you like minimal amount of information to research and to go by, you should also be just getting out there, making sure that you've got a really strong idea about what food photography is about for each week going forward, because these assignments get to be, if you don't do well on one and you don't do well on another, and you've only got 2, oh my gosh, what are you going to have for your portfolio? So just listen. And we're not going to get too crazy specific about it, but I just want to give you some tips. Okay, so everybody got to make their first contact sheet this week, and I think all of those turned out really well, and that's a fun thing to do. And I understand I didn't ask for raw files this week, and great commentary. Okay, and everybody had some good feedback for you, Astrid. Okay, and then here are your 3 favorites. So I like this one. I feel like the focus of the image is right in this area right here, and I don't really mind that. I think that from your contact sheet, there's a couple that I like better. This one is really kind of sweet and innocent. It's goes well with the background, and the colors are all very nice. I probably would have cropped it, but you want to go for the same aspect ratio as your original image. So to do that, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute, you just set it to ratio rather than a certain crop size. Okay, and I think with this image, I like the setup of the cookies, but the focal point is like back here. So we're not getting any clarity on the cookies themselves, and that's pretty much the big deal here, right? Is the cookies. Okay, so you sent me DNGs, and that's fine. And yes, I agree with Sydney. Okay, everybody's got some really great ideas for you. Make sure when you're replying to your peers that you're being specific and not just general. Like good job is not really a response. It's just, you could have not even looked at the pictures and just said great job. Do you know what I mean? It's really just not enough. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go to Astrid's, I want to go to her contact sheet, and I would like to look at that a little bit closer. So I want to open that. Let's see, I gotta move to see my. I'm gonna open it in Photoshop. And this is just, sorry, normal time lag for opening up software. You get used to it. You really do. Okay, let's look at that same file. Okay. So what I want to do here is look at these images a little bit more closely. So I'm going to do Command plus. I'm going to make them very large so I can look at them carefully. And I got to use my sliders to get around. Okay, so this would be top down. This would be a top down view. And if you've explored food photography at all online, this is going to be one of the things that they talk about. It's interesting to me that the lettering here is written in gold, and in your one image it appears to be red. I like, with this photo, I like the space between the items so that they're not all kind of clustered together. So I do like that. I'm going to unlock this layer. There we go. Okay. Ooh, I gotta use my sliders. Okay, this one's got some nice clarity to it. I think this is one of the ones you chose because I see that focal point here, right in this area. And I think it's good, but we might have something better. Okay, I honestly, you'll get to know this about me as we get into landscapes. I'm not a fan of, like that diagonal shot. That is, to me, having taught all grade levels, it's something usually that beginning photographers do. And I realize you are beginning photographers, so please don't worry about that. But in the future, make sure that your horizons are straight. We don't need to do any tricky tricks. And this one's got, wow, such a shallow depth of field. But I don't think there's enough separation here between your food items. And I'll probably contradict myself. Okay, now this one, we've got this big blur, a little bit of clarity here. So you didn't choose that one, and that's good. And then this one, your focal point is like kind of in the distance. But then here, I know this is a heart, but it kind of looks like an octopus. Do you see what I mean? Okay, moving along. So we always want to be aware of the information that's presented within the frame, because that's really all the viewer has to go by. This one looks a little bit dark compared to the others, I think. And that one as well. Darkness can be good. If you've got a great composition and you need to increase the exposure, that can be a saving grace. This one I think is kind of nice. This one's got that tilted world. And I would really like this if I could see some detail on the cookies themselves rather than just the background. And that one's a little bit slanted. Yeah, even though that's at an angle, I don't mind it. I think it's kind of nice. This one's way too angled. And this is the one that I was thinking, you know, is reflecting kind of the red light. I would have definitely cropped this, and I'll show you that as well. Being sure to crop to your aspect ratio. Original aspect ratio. Okay, this is lovely. But again, it's not my favorite. And we've got that severe angle again. This one I kind of like. I feel like you could increase the exposure and the contrast, saturate the pink a little bit. And I'm not a big fan that you've cut off the edges here. One thing we have to watch out for. So this one is a nice example. I think you could go in and increase clarity, exposure, saturation, contrast. Just one moment. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to crop and keep the same aspect ratio. So we would go to the crop tool over here, and then if you just hit ratio before you begin to crop, it's just going to maintain the same aspect ratio. So what we want to do is just drag from the corners and I'm thinking about rule of thirds here, you know. This is really fun to play with. So I'm not sure. For me, I'm a move it from the middle girl, you know. I'm a rule of thirds kind of person. And I think that the main interest is in, you know, that shine. And then, of course, the macaron itself. I'm going to move it a little bit. Okay. So there's my crop. I could also increase the contrast a little bit, just to increase clarity. And you know I can always go to filter, camera raw filter, and have the biggest range of tools to play with. What was going wrong there? But I believe that I have demonstrated what I wanted to demonstrate, which is to maintain the aspect ratio rather than going with one of these alternate, ratios. You can just go with ratio and it's automatically going to crop to the same exact dimensions, so if you had an 8x12 image and you used ratio to crop, it's going to still be an 8x12 image. So it will match all of the other images in your group of photographs, So that's a really smart thing to do because it makes everything feel cohesive. Okay? All right, so that's it for Astrid. And please let me know if you're missing anything or you wanted to talk more about anything in each project. I am happy to talk. I'll talk all day. I will. I will talk your ear off. And I try not to, try to keep that balance between talking too much and not enough. Okay, so here's Belinda. And yes, food photography. Ooh, it's kind of like, oh, you hit the pavement on this one, right? You'd think it would be just fun and easy. Like, I'll show you my food photography. So here's one image that, I bought this delicious looking cake and I thought, well, I'm going to get to eat this afterward. 3 hours later, I had gotten the lighting that I wanted. I wanted top backlighting. So backlighting is when the light source is behind the subject. So then you see these shadows coming forth here. And it kind of adds all that depth and dimension. It also creates a shine on the top. And yeah, otherwise, other than that, you're creating a composition and you want whatever it is to look so delicious and tempting. So that said, let's take a look at Belinda. Belinda, I think this is so sweet that your daughter cooked spam and ramen, and I'm not sure what vegetable that is, but it's some kind of greens, and put it on this little home style, picnic plate, and made a fruit shake to go with it. That is just adorable. For this image, I only wish, when you do have top back lighting, do you see that? I only wish that you had, I'm not sure if your flash is coming from your camera or if it's just a shine from the overhead light in the kitchen. But, those kind of things that distract from the food itself. So I would say, this is a nice image, but I think I might go back in and try and patch tool out those. Let's see if I can do that. Just give me 1 second here. Here we go. Okay, so here's your image. I'm going to get off the clone stamp. I'm sorry, the crop tool. Things start running together in your mind. Okay, so here's the patch tool. I can try and take this part of the image and just kind of slide it down, staying on the lines of the wood. And that worked out pretty good. So then I'm going to do Control D, Command D to deselect. And the same with this little patch over here. Hold on. Looks like I'm going to have to go all the way out around the edge of the photo. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to try and go up here. Not so good, huh? Okay, so I'm going to edit, step back, undo patch selection. Let's see what happens if I go over here. Not much better. Edit, undo patch selection. that's the best one so far. So Command D, let's deselect. And I probably would have, you know, played around with this a little bit to make it more pop. So I just did brightness contrast, increase contrast, and let's see, exposure. And take that up just a tad, just to bring some light onto the plate. And then hue saturation, you know, it's always fun. Just increase the saturation on those colors. Okay, very good. I might even crop this image just a tiny bit. As long as we've got all the shadows in, we don't really need extra space in the background. Okay, so that would be my way to edit this image and keep it keep the same aspect ratio. So I'm now going to save it, and let's go look at the next one of Belinda's. Okay, I had to get a cough drop and getting a sore throat. So photo number 2 for Belinda. Now I love that you created this black background. And it's a nice little composition. I like the shine that you got on both sides of the apple, you know, from your lighting, and I'm guessing that, you know, it reflected a little bit when you were using your softbox, so you got a double source of light. So that one is nice. And I'm thrilled that you created steam. I think that's fantastic, Belinda. So you used a fabric steamer. I know, I remember in the article they said to just microwave a cotton ball, you know, a wet cotton ball. And that's really good because you can place it in, you know, any little place. But fabric steamer, you did that. So this is a nice homey feeling photo. I like it. This one, I like the idea of it. Excuse me. I'm not a huge fan because, you know, like a lot of parts of the rooster decor are like being cut off. They're going over the edge, outside the edge. So I would have liked to seen the whole thing. Okay, so I want to look at your contact page. So I'm opening it with Photoshop, and then we can make this really large and take a look at some masterpieces that you might not have noticed. So, to my eye. Okay, your first image here. I think I might have mentioned this to you already. I absolutely love this picture. This is like restaurant quality. It looks inviting. I like the lighting and the shine. I love the shallow depth of field. I could only say if you were going to redo it, you know, to make sure that some of this area in the foreground was, you know, crystal clear, tack sharp, as they say. But that's a keeper right there. I love this. Love that setup. And these are nice and clear, but not as exciting. And then that was the one you included. This one, I agree, was an outtake. And then some of your fruit. Okay, here we go with the tea kettle. I really like this composition. You know, the curves of the chair. You have enough information to know that it's a chair. And you've got the curve of the teapot and that beautiful shine and reflection of the window. I love this. Love this one. I would go back in and edit it and bring up the exposure a little bit, the contrast, the saturation. But just naturally, it's lovely. And then I do think that this was a good choice. And you're almost telling a story here. Breakfast, newspaper, tea. You could have even had like a teacup here with your tea bag in it, ready to go. And then yummy muffin. And I love how you tried it with the black background. I think that's nice too. And this, that looks like it's a cloth, but with the local farm box, I think that that's a nice idea. Very nice. And I like this one too. I would probably straighten the top edge of that box. You see the pickiness that I've been through? It's photography. Ultra picky subject. But always so fun. Okay, now this image right here is, at first glance, was my favorite. I would have loved to have seen that you arranged, you know, these kind of sumptuous folds, you know, almost like it was having this antique style drapery around the fruit. And that would have just like nestled and held all the delicate fruit so in such a special way. And plus it's reminiscent of, you know, still lifes from, oh gosh, all the way back to Grecian times, Roman times, medieval times, not too much, but even up through the Renaissance in the 1900s. Sorry, 18th, 19th century. But I love that idea. I would continue with that idea. And there's the one that you chose. This one's got a wood grain. And this one's got such warmer light. Do you see the difference? Wow. So that would be white balance. So the shine on this one has super white. This one is, you know, almost a little bit like a cream color. And then back to super white and cool. Being an artist before you begin is so helpful. So much of photography. Okay. I really kind of like the way this frames the subject here. That's nice. And then there's that delicious meal your daughter created. And we did our very best to make it look the most amazing. Okay. I think we are ready for our next victim. But very, very well done, Belinda. Okay. Next is Donovan. I feel like your family is a family of collectors. I mean, last week you had the vintage bobblehead, and now you've got some rare snow globes. So you didn't rank them. Okay. First thing I see, first off, is this was a food photography unit. And so this one would work for still life last week. But for food photography, you know, you really need to have the subject be food. I was just reading your notes. So this is really interesting shot. And I like how you have it in the dirt of the plant. You know, it's just kind of gives this air of mystery, you know, what's going on here. And I like that the depth of field is just on this area. This is what you focused on. I mean, I kind of like this one, but seeing the underside of the globes with the price tag, it's just, you know, not really working for me. And I would be okay with the plant marker and everything, but I could just see maybe the top of the globes would be a better image. Yeah, the dirt looks nice. Okay, so Donovan, you're going to have to keep in mind that this is a reshoot, so we got to have some food. This is all about food. Okay, and then here goes Sid. And Sid, I like the contrast that you created on this, you know, styrofoam plate with the berries, and that's an interesting arrangement. And then, you know, this looks like a yummy little snack right here. And I don't know, is that some kind of cookie or chocolate or something? I'm not sure. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about your contact sheet being perfect. That's perfectly fine, what I see. This is funny. The little faces. Yeah, you know, you have to have like a plate of food that may get ruined, you know? Like I said with my cake and milk experiment, by the end of after 3 hours, that cake was stale. And so it was a good thing I had, you know, the rest of the cake. But yeah, you're gonna have like a plate of food that can be disposable just for this shoot. So I understand you were going with, excuse me, what you had as far as plating goes. I kind of like the little play on here, this one with the bite out of it. I think that's cute. And I know I'm the same way about ruining food. I just can't do it. But if you had, you know, maybe borrowed some, you know, beautiful dish from somebody that you knew, and perhaps taken the berries and add a little mist with a spray mister, just a spray bottle, and add some droplets on top, and then have the light catch those droplets. It just, you know, it takes it so far beyond just, you know, the berries on, and I'm guessing this is a plastic plate. And even just a little smear of, you know, some kind of condiment on here might have helped that image. And these, I mean, they kind of look like bricks or like blocks, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. Yeah, it's almost like you just have to make something and make it look, I mean, like the president is coming. Well, I mean, maybe not the president, but maybe the Queen of England is coming over. And you want to impress her with a dish, you know, something that you would enjoy eating. And just make the most delicious looking thing that you could. So, yeah. I mean, it's all cute ideas, but I don't know that you could use these for your portfolio. I think I would choose other categories for this time, and just keep working on that. Try and make, you know, there might be a day where maybe you even go out to eat and take your camera with you and capture that food so that it looks amazingly delicious. It's all about where you are, sometimes getting really low, sometimes getting really close, sometimes getting from the edge, sometimes it's top down. It's there's so many factors that you can play with. But ultimately, you want that food to look just like people want it so much. You got to make the viewer want what you're presenting with food photography. Okay, and here we got Abby. Okay, so Abby. Strawberries and blueberries. Cupcakes and shrimp. Okay, I really like the idea of this. I love the shallow depth of field. The paper towel is a little bit distracting to me. I wonder if we couldn't just select the subject and kind of fade out the texture of that paper towel. Let's try it. Forgive me for taking so long. So this is again. Let me just look. My memory. Oh, your memory, Miss Price. That's from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. If you're a Disney fan. Okay, this is Abby. Short-term memory loss. No.